Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura's Handmade Haven. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. We are continuing our Cozy Up October flannel projects. And today I have a project that, well, we use in my household all year round because sometimes you need it for something hot and sometimes you need it for something cold, but they're always nice to have around. And that is a bowl cozy. Now, I will be honest here and just tell you that sometime our bowl cozy is actually for our ice cream. But hey, keeping my hands warm or cold, depending on what's in the bowl, is nice to have just for something extra. Now, these are great if you're getting bowls out of the microwave, and you can use them in your microwave. I just usually put the bowl in the microwave, heat the stuff up, and then put it into the cozy. Or to be quite honest, sometimes we have a big pot of soup on the stove or chili, and putting that into those bowls can get super hot too. So just putting that bowl into a cozy before putting it onto your lap if you're sitting in front of the TV watching a movie while you're eating your bowl of chili is really nice. But like I said, it also works really good for pints of ice cream. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'm going to tell you something I did that I would caution you about. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just saying understand what you're getting. All right, so I'm not really positive who put these little templates out to begin with, but I, in my infinite wisdom, was like, oh, look, I can save a little money and I can buy these off Amazon instead. And they did come. I have like a set of three, was actually a set of six different sizes of templates. But the problem is the middle one has the right measurements on it. The rest of them do not. And they all say the exact same thing with the exact same measurements. So I did go through and put the right measurements on each of these templates. Now I have to tell you that I feel a little bad because I know that, now I've had these for a long time. I'm not sure that there was a copyright or a patent or anything on them by the main company that put these out when I bought these because, like I said, it's been a hot minute. But I do kind of feel bad that I bought these from somebody else, but I got what I paid for because they're going to work, but you got to know what you're doing. You have to make sure that you check all of your measurements. Okay, so what I have done on this is I've just taken my flannel and I have folded it into a quarter and I just put my little bowl cozy template on here and you just use your rotary cutter and cut around. And that's all there is to it. So I should have, if I folded this correctly, I should have two of these, which is exactly what I need to make this bowl cozy. So I have two layers here. So I need two layers of the flannel, and then I also need a layer of the batting. Now, batting, do not just use any old batting. Make sure, especially if you're giving these as gifts and you think that people may use it in their microwave, make sure you have the correct batting for this project. Now, I bought the Pellon Wrap and Zap, and it's 100% natural cotton batting that is microwave safe. That's what I would tell you to get, okay? If you're gonna give these for gifts, make sure you get something that's gonna be safe for your person that you're giving it to. And there's quite a bit in here. And I'm just gonna use this template. This is actually gonna be a pretty big bowl cozy. This is gonna be a great big bowl of soup. But you know what? These would also work really good on the table instead of a hot pad. Or a trivet. You could use these for your serving bowls on your table. Or, to be quite honest, if you did like little fall themed fabrics, you could totally use these with your candy or whatever, right? Okay. So I folded this little corner here into a quarter, lining these up. And you place this edge and this edge as it says on a folded edge. And there is a little forgiveness in this because, it's gonna stretch a little bit. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna straighten up this edge just a little bit. Now, the other thing you could do if you don't want to use your rotary cutter, you could definitely use a pen and mark around and then use your scissors and cut this out. All right, so here is my layer of batting. And now we're going to get our bowl cozy pieces and layer this together. All right, so now we have 2 pieces of flannel and 2 pieces of batting. I think that I mistakenly led you to believe that you only need 1 piece of batting. You do actually need 2. The first thing we're gonna do is just put a little bit of a straight stitch right across the center of this. And this is gonna be what holds the batting in place across our flannel. And you're going to go both ways and make a great big X. The 2 layers of batting is just going to give you a little more protection from that heat or cold from your sweet treat or bowl of chili. Now these quilting lines, they serve 2 purposes. 1, it holds the batting in place. And then 2, it also will give us a nice little finish to the bowl that it kind of almost like gives it a little quilted seam that you can fold these bowls for easy storage in your drawer or cabinet. Now, if you made these bowl cozies way back in the day before the templates came onto the market, you may remember that you had all these things you had to mark and cut out for the darts. But with these templates, it is so much easier because you've already cut the spots where you do your darts. That's these little V's here. That's exactly what those are for. All right, now that we have our quilted lines across in a V, or in an X rather, we're going to take all of these little dart areas and we're just going to match them up. And we're just going to stitch them into place. Now you can tell that my batting is hanging over a little bit. I'm just going to trim that up just a smidge, just to get it even with the flannel. So each one of these pieces gets 4 darts. And just to make it a little easier on myself, I'm going to go back and forth between the 2 pieces just so I don't have to keep cutting my thread all the time and possibly needing to rethread it because of that. Now you do want to back stitch on your darts. And like I said, this is going to be a larger bowl cozy, more for like a serving bowl or a treat bowl. Or maybe, I'm not judging here. If you want this big of a bowl of chili or soup, don't let me stop you. And again, I'm just lining up the flannel and the batting edges on those little dart cuts. It should be all 4 for this one. So see, yeah, this is going to be a pretty big bowl. And this was using a 16-inch square, I believe. And look at yeah, this is a 16-inch. Just try to keep your darts at 1/4 of an inch on each one of these, just because these need to line up with one another. Once we get all of these done, we'll do a little bit of pinning. Okay, so now that we have 2 great big bowls, we're going to turn them right sides together and line up our darts. And we're going to pin those into place. And that's the first place that I'm going to pin on these, on the bowl cozy. We have one more down here. And then I'm just going to line up where the high points meet. And you definitely can put more pins in than I am if you want. Now, the only other thing that you have to make sure that you don't forget is you want to leave an opening for turning. And that's really up to you where you want to do it. If it were me, I would probably go like from here to a dart, something like that, on one of these sides. And that's probably what I'm going to do. In fact, I think my signal to myself is going to be putting several pins right here. And then I'll remember, don't sew there. All right, so I'm going to start. And I'm actually going to do about a little more than a 1/4 inch, almost a 1/2 inch seam, just because I want to make sure that I have a really good seam for this, for turning. Make sure you take your pins out as you go. And here's the signal to myself to stop sewing so we can turn it out. Now you do want to go ahead and clip a little bit in where these darts are, just to give a little slack in the project. Now you can also clip a little bit on the little mountaintops. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Just don't cut through your stitch line. Now that we have everything sewn and everything clipped, now all we have to do is turn it out. I don't know, I may not have left myself enough room. Might be a little bit of a struggle, but it'll turn. Oh, okay, so that was a little more work than anticipated, but you know, it's all good. It's all good. Alrighty, so now the last thing I'm going to do is just take my scissors, and you could use a 2-point turner if you'd rather, and I'm just going to run it along the seam inside. Okay, so now the last thing we have to do after getting our seams all pushed out, the last thing we'll do is just run a top stitch all the way around the outside of this bowl cozy. And I'm just going to tell you that make sure you have a sharp needle, go slow, because there are a lot of layers here, a lot of thicknesses, and it definitely is going to be, you know, it's going to be different than just some of the other things that we've done with our sewing machines. But then you can see that we have this nice little bowl to use on our table to put serving bowls in, or to fill with candy or goodies for the season. Now, if you're wanting one that's for soup bowls or for ice cream pints, you want to go with a smaller bowl, obviously. Like I said, now this is a 16. I feel like the ones I make for those are typically 10-inch. So, you know, a 10-inch square is what you would want, and that template is the one you would want for the ice cream and regular like soup bowl size. And like I said, go slow with this because you have 2 layers of flannel and 2 layers of batting. Now, remember, we did do a bigger seam allowance, so you don't have to be like 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. You can be a little further in if you need to be. And I would just tell you, when you get to the areas with the darts, like I'm coming up on right now, just go slow across that because you have lots and lots of layers there. You don't want to break a needle or hurt yourself. So go slow. And then we're going to do a top stitch all the way around the bowl. All right, let me go get a bowl and we will have a reveal. All right, so this is exactly what I was going for with this bowl cozy. I wanted something cute to put my bowl in with all the treats for Halloween. So this would be great on the table, and it gives it a little something you won't be go clink, clink, clink every time you sit it down because it has this nice little cushioned cozy to sit into. So I hope you picked up a tip and trick from my bowl cozy tutorial. I hope you learned that sometimes maybe read the templates a little closer and just understand that sometimes name brand is the way to go. But if you don't do that, if you try to save a few dollars here and there, there are going to be consequences for those actions, and you'll have to figure it out. You'll have to label them and measure it out and figure out which ones do what and how big of a cozy you're making. Oops. All right, so leave me a comment down below. What did you think of this flannel project? Remember, this one is microwave safe because I do have that wrap and zap inside. So if I do have a hot treat that I want to put out on the table, or if I have a hot bowl of chili to put on my dining room table, I don't have to worry about it hurting the wood surface underneath because the 2 layers of batting will help with that. So instead of using a trivet, you can use a bowl cozy. It'd be really cute on your table this fall. I hope until next time you find joy in all you do, carve out some time for crafting and creating, and remember, it's always better when you make stuff up.